McNair radio show on this Monday night. Glad you can join us here on the Alcorn Football Radio Network. Big win by the Braves. We'll talk about that. And of course, you know what this week is all about. Homecoming 2018. Emmanuel Barnes says it best. Coach Thornton gets a kick out of that. So is Coach McNair. We'll be playing that throughout the course of the program. Glad you can join us, folks, on this Monday night. Charles Edmond here, Braves head football coach Fred McNair, Coach Cedric Thornton, the Braves defensive coordinator, joining us. Coach, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
I tell you what, and we'll get with Coach McNair here as well. Coach, congratulations.
Appreciate you that, Charles.
We'll start with you, Coach McNair. I mean, just a huge win. If you had said that we had scored 20 points, I wouldn't have believed you because we've had so many high-scoring games. With Southern was, 48-31 last year. We've had some high-scoring games, but then at the same time, holding a Jaguar team that scored 62 points in their last two games, just keeping them to a field goal at home on their homecoming. I mean, despite the conditions and all that, that says a whole lot. What does that say about this Braves program, considering what they did 2 nights ago?
Well, you're just saying that about the character of this football team, Charles, and that shows it all, man. And these guys are relentless, man. They nonstop, in spite of everything that these young men go through, Charles, every day, throughout the whole process of the day with classes and having to come to work and battle with the climate and rain and all that kind of stuff, Charles. These guys, they never stop believing in themselves and just trusting this coaching staff that we have. Those guys, they really bought into it and they playing hard on both sides of the ball, the special teams. Now we collectively, we think we're doing a pretty good job of getting these guys ready to play on Saturday.
You know, one of the sayings that you have, and Coach Thornton, you can chime in too, of course, in spite of. I've heard that throughout the football complex. Talk about where you came up with that and what does that mean?
Well, you look at the thing, Charles, and the stuff that we go through during the course of a day and during the course of a year, and things of our necessity and things that we don't have, and all the complaints that we have and things of that nature. And I always tell the guys, in spite of, we still got to get the job done. And I think that we have really pushed that into these young men's mind and got them believing in the things that we can get done, and we're going to get it done regardless. So in spite of, we're going to make it happen, Charles. And I think these coaches, they do such a great job of getting these young men to compete very hard every day during the course of practice and just being administrator, Charles. That's part of it. When you're coaching, you're counselors and everything like that. A lot of it come with it. So that's the stuff that we battle with every day. But we make sure that these young men get what they need and we provide for them of things that they don't have. It's a process. They believe in us, and we're going to keep pushing it into them, Charles, and dealing with everything we did with, Charles. It's going to be a battle, and in spite of, we're going to get it done, Charles.
Well, Coach Thornton, just a terrific job by your defense. And Emmanuel Barnes and I were talking after the game. I mean, he's seen a lot more Alcorn Southern games than I have, and he says he can't even remember a year in which we've held a Southern team without a touchdown to just a field goal, and that was really set up by a big kickoff return. Just talk about what was the key to slowing down Southern's defense on Saturday. Southern's offense.
Well, Coach Mack said it best. We got a group of young men that really truly believe in Coach Mack's vision and everything Coach Mack believes in. He passed it down through us as assistant coaches, and we try to keep give it to the young men, and they eat it, man. They swallow it and they buy in, and it's getting to the point. And I'd be, lying to the world if I say that we're 100% there right now. But it's getting to the point to where these guys are starting to see the fruits of the labor, and they starting to believe it, and they buying in. So we're getting there, and every day is a process. We got that work in this morning. Try to improve, and we had a lot of mistakes Saturday, try to improve from that, and just continue to get better. But the young men, they buying in, man. They buying in, and it makes me proud as a ball coach.
Well, you're the old school SWAC guy. You and I talk when you first arrived on this campus. You talk about the SWAC of old, the good old days, the glory days. That kind of reminded me of the old days of the 3-yard and a cloud of dust or a cloud of turf. Because some of us playing on AstroTurf. 3 yards and a cloud of turf. I'll just say it like that. And that kind of turned the clock back a little bit because they only had 159 yards of total offense, and as we mentioned, they had scored 62 points in their last 2 games.
Wow, that's I'm older guy. I'm a swag dude to my heart, and I don't look at stats. I don't pay no attention to them, and to after the season, then I can use that to try to get better. Where was I weak? Where was I strong? We try to correct that for the upcoming year. Stat I look at the scoreboard at the end of the game. Hopefully, we got one more point than the opponent, and that's what's majorly important to me. At the end of the game, they mentioned in the locker room about the number of yards they had, total offense, and all I could think about were the plays that we missed. And I immediately said, well, that was too many, because I could only think of the plays that we missed. And it was a good showing. We showed the guys, man, they played hard. I mean, I told them, just a moment ago in the meeting, man, y'all playing hard. We're playing hard. It's just some little things we got to fix. We just got to fix some little things. Effort is not the issue. Some assignment things, some technique things. We played a decent, good game, but I think we can be better.
We'll take a break here, and we'll get into the nuts and bolts of it, a low-scoring game. Not a lot of scoring, but some big plays were made. Of course, some turnovers, so we'll talk all about that when we come back. That takes us to our first break at 10 minutes after 6 o'clock. We'll be right back after this from C Spire, one of our ASU Network sponsors and the Department of Athletics. So we'll take a break here on the All-Core Football Radio Network, the Fred McNair Radio Show. We'll be back after this from C Spire.
So you haven't washed your lucky socks since that fourth quarter comeback 5 years ago. At C Spire, we get it. You'll do anything to help your team win, just like anything we do is inspired by you. We're your biggest fan, lucky socks and all. From business to home to wireless, our inspiration is always you. C Spire, customer inspired. Step up to number 1 and get Amazon Prime on us. Details at cspire.com.
It's important to plan ahead for emergencies, like the storm. When it kicked in, we had a plan. We were able to get in touch with each other in no time. The whole experience was fine.
The most frightening 10 hours of my life.
If there's one piece of advice I'd offer other moms out there, it's to stay calm and keep to the plan.
Some parents plan ahead, some don't. Make sure you know where to find your family in an emergency. Visit beready.iowa.gov. Brought to you by Ready Iowa, FEMA, and the Ad Council.
All right, welcome back to the Fred McNair Radio Show here on this Monday night. I'm Charles Edmonds, special guest in studio, Braves defensive coordinator Cedric Thornton. Thought it was appropriate because the defense just kept Southern in check. Just 159 yards of total offense. As we look at the first quarter, Coach McNair was scoreless. We outgained Southern 62-43 in the first quarter. Noah Johnson threw a pick in there. He was 4 of 9 for 48 yards. We're trying to get the running game going. Southern's defense, and was reading the articles in the Baton Rouge paper on Sunday, Southern's defense is now, the stalwart of this team. Their offense with a sophomore quarterback, they're struggling obviously, but Southern's defense really made it hard for us to really get a lot going. We did what we had to do. We had the pick six there that helped us out, but Southern's defense, how tough was it out there?
I thought that Coach Odom came in and had a very good scheme for what we do on offense, and we did have some mistakes that we made ourselves, Charles, and just to go in with that, I think we kind of hurt ourselves a little bit with the turnovers and that situation. But they was very stingy on defense a little bit, Charles. They was probably a little bit quicker than we was up front right at the time. We played slow offensively. We just got to get better this week of speeding offensive game up.
Coach Thornton, just talk about dealing with Lampley and Ben, because clearly those two, they were trying to get going. Menard trying to get their tight end involved, who had a big game against us last year before he got hurt, and they're trying to get the tight end involved. What was the challenge of trying to at least slow down Southern's offense?
Well, the challenge was, Coach Barry does a good job with personnel and formations. So the challenge was first we had to recognize, what they were in, personnel wise. He does certain things and personnel packages that we need that kind of worried us. So we had to make sure we was alert and aware of what they did personnel wise and formation. They did a lot of shifts and a lot of motion. So defensively, first, we got to get lined up.
Yeah.
We got to get lined up, and guys were locked into that, and we were able to get lined up. And Lampley, he's gonna be a good football player. He's gonna be a really good football player. Great looking kid, throws a nice ball. He scrambles well, he runs well, and we all know in our conference when you got those type guys at quarterback, that's a defensive coordinator's nightmare. A quarterback that can move around and run a little bit. So they were huge up front, man. They looked like the Dallas Cowboys or somebody up front. So, and those big guys, and Ben was able to run a little bit and hide behind them. So we were just trying to just make sure we stay gap sound and recognize formations and try to keep Lampley bottled in. We didn't want him to get out and have a lot of escape lanes to his around.
Well, Coach, we were able to get a field goal, 3-0 in the second quarter's McCullough's 32-yard field goal. Despite the conditions, kicking was an issue for Southern, but McCullough was pretty solid Saturday.
And Curry been solid, just about the whole year, Charles. And I think he's perfect right now in field goals, and he's doing a great job of getting it up and putting the ball through and everything. So I think that he'll continue to play well, Charles. And he was named the best team player of the week this week as well. So he's going to continue to do the thing. We're just going to have to just continue to put him in good situations and make him very comfortable kicking the football. So I think he's handling the task very well.
All right, it's 15 minutes after. Of course, we're taking your phone call, 601-877-6595. We'll go to our first caller of the night, Marquise, joining us. Good evening, Marquise. Marquise has left us, so we'll pick up another phone call. We had him on hold for a couple of minutes. Call back in, Marquise. We'll get you back on the line. So you look at the third quarter and you look at the second half. Of course, Coach, we kind of cracked it open, but the second quarter was just kind of nip and tuck. You talked about the turnovers. You talk about the one thing that really gave Southern an edge was the big kickoff return. And we always, when Alcorn and Southern play, special teams played a factor. And I was really worried about that kickoff return that set up their only score of the game.
It was the same guy. You look at his number, he was wearing number 25. And you think about Willie Quinn when he was there, returning kicks and things like that, Charles. That came a flash on me. But we just had one guy that should have been over in another lane than where he was. And we just misfit that one and kind of got away from us there. And thank God for speed that we have on defense, be able to chase him down. So we got him stopped, and I think the defense came in and did a tremendous job holding him back there, Charles.
All right, so as we go back to the phone lines, Gwen is joining us here on the Fred McNair radio show on this Monday night. Good evening, Gwen.
Good evening, Mr. Edmond. How you doing?
Doing fine.
That's good. Coach McNair, I just want to congratulate you and your staff and team on an excellent job, and I just want to tell you to keep up the good work, and let's go out and do it again on Saturday.
Thank you, Miss Gwen.
All righty, then.
Winning, Coach Thornton, you've been around this thing a long time. Winning is fun, isn't it?
Winning is great. Winning, it's great. Winning is great. I mean, it's a loss of words for it. Ain't nothing like it.
It was a big crowd, Coach. It took us an hour and 10 minutes to get over the overpass. We got there about 12, and it was about 1:10 by the time we got parked. And they had all 4 lanes going in. It still took an hour and 10 minutes, which I thought was pretty quick, actually, because the way that traffic was building up, I thought we would be out there 3 hours. But they did a nice job in getting people on campus. So I thought that was important. And, when you're playing a team like Southern, a passionate fan base, and clearly talking with my good buddy Carlos Brown, who follows all things Southern and HBCU, has a talk show on Saturday, even 48 hours after the fact. Jaguar folks were not happy about what happened on Saturday. And you took on a team that was at home, their homecoming, winning 2 straight games, beating a tough A&M team, beating Langston in the Pete Richardson Classic. It was a tough challenge, tough conditions, and you were able to weather it all.
Well, the biggest thing, Charles, we talked to our guys all week, and we talked about the hostile environment and the crowd that's going to be presented to them on Saturday. And, after playing in Georgia Tech and seeing the crowd they had and coming back and playing against Southern, it kind of makes a whole lot of sense to where these young men know it didn't really faze them, Charles, and they took it in stride, and the big lights didn't really fight them, so they was able to get settled in and play a good brand of football.
So the halftime score was 3-0. We outgained Southern, Coach, 183-59 in the first half. Just 4 yards passing, Coach Thornton. A guy like Lampley, you talked about the dual threat quarterback, and most quarterbacks in our league, and that's the game now, dual threat. What's the biggest concern when you're dealing with a dual threat quarterback week in and week out?
You have to take away something. You know, you have to take away something. You can't go in leaving it, nip and tuck and trying to, just be solid on one. If I can take away one thing, then it's easier for me to call based on the situation when he has to throw the football. So, our plan, like I said, we want to take away the initial read from him. He likes to pull it down and run. So if I take away the initial read from him, he's going to want to scramble, and I need to take away those running lanes from him. And we was able to bottle him up that way.
Coach, what was your halftime speech? I mean, up 3-0, 183-59 at halftime. I mean, I'm sure you were pleased with the first 30 minutes.
Well, anytime you got a lead, Charles, going into halftime, you kind of pleased with it. But I thought that we could have played better, and that's one thing I told them at halftime. We left a lot out there. We could play better than what we played. And these guys, they was up to the challenge, and I challenged them to go out and play a better second half. And play a better 30 minutes of football. And they came out in the second half and in the third quarter, and we executed well on offense. And that's what we're capable of doing, Charles, when we do it right. So the biggest thing is got to get the quarterback settled down and make sure he's doing the things he needs to do, and make sure he get back on track of his progression, his read.
All right, we'll take a break here. We'll look at the third quarter. Give us a call. You have defensive coordinator Cedric Thornton here in studio, of course, with Braves head football coach Fred McNair, talking all things Alcorn, all things defense, and just breaking down the Southern game. We'll have the SWAC report a little bit later on. We'll have tweets and text a little bit later. And, of course, we'll talk about Alabama State, a team that really got beat up against Kennesaw State, lost a number of their starters. They were off last week, so we'll talk about the Hornets as they roll in here on Jack Spinks Marino Cassim Stadium on this very special day. Homecoming 2018. We'll take a break. We'll be right back with the third quarter in which the Braves defense stood tall. Back in 1 minute on the Fred McNair Radio Show.
It's the Friday Night High School Game of the Week on WPRL 91.7 FM. This Friday night, your Jefferson County Tigers will travel to Woodville, Mississippi to take on the Wilkinson County Wildcats. Now, these two teams have the best record in their division, so you know what? It's going to be a burner, baby. It's going to be on like my collard greens and turkey necks, so you know it's going to be good. When these two teams meet, all the fireworks is going to be on. You better believe it. Hey, join your Friday night play-by-play crew, Bonesman, Woodell Harvard, and Shay Mouse of WPRL 91.7 FM, and Jamario Chavez, senior producer. Pre-game 6:50, game time 7 p.m. It's the Friday Night High School Game of the Week. It's going to be a great one for Wilkinson County High School. It's the Jefferson County Tigers and Wilkinson County. Don't you miss that.
All right, welcome back. Pretty good news around here. Of course, Coach McNair, the Braves are winning, and right down the road at Jefferson County High School, the Tigers may be one of the hottest teams in the state of Mississippi. I mean, they won, I think, 4 in a row. Jefferson County, James Harrington, their head coach, they got them going. They knocked off previously undefeated Terry, beat Port Gibson the other night on their homecoming. So a lot of good stuff going on in the local area.
It is, Charlie. That's what's so exciting about this time of the year in football, You got local schools here that's playing well, and the university here is playing well, and a lot of good things happen. So just got to continue to do it and keep working.
All right, we are going back to the phone lines. Deborah is on the line with us. Good evening, Deborah. How you doing?
Doing well. How's everyone there?
Pretty good.
Yeah. I just want to call and congratulate the coach on an excellent job, and prayerfully the Braves will keep on winning, and we'll have a great season.
All right, Deborah, do you have a question?
No, I just wanted to call to congratulate the coach. Keep working hard.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. Thank you for calling in. All right, so as we look at the third quarter, it was 3-0, Coach, and next thing you know, Waller with a touchdown run, a 1-yard run, and it was reported that P.J. Simmons was kind of down a little bit. So talk, because that's one of the questions, several tweets and texts about P.J. Simmons. What happened there in the second half?
He just got a little ankle sprain, John. I think he'll be fine. He didn't practice this morning. What is this morning? I think Jaleesa doing everything that she can to get him back on the field as soon as possible. So that's where Warner came in at the third quarter. Did a great job for us. His first time back since Georgia Tech. So he came in and big back style, and he ran the ball well for us, Charles. And I think he had 14 carries, like 54 yards, and did a great job. And had the touchdown during the third quarter for us, and did an excellent job for us. He's going to be a running back for us.
So we get Waller back, and everyone's been asking about Waller the last few weeks, and he made an impact, and P.J. Simmons goes down, and in football, they say next man up. We got P.J. going down, but Waller stepped up, and that's just the way it works.
Talk about it all the time. Every day, Charles, it's preparation, man. Everybody gotta be ready. So all the guys, the coach does a great job getting everyone ready to play all the time. So we just gotta continue to do that as coaches. We just got to make sure that we have somebody in the wing ready to play. So I think all the coaches do a great job in their position of getting guys ready to play.
Well, Coach Thornton, defensively, I mean, there was a big kickoff return that set up Southern's only points, a 28-yard field goal. There were several times in which your defense, Coach, was backed up against the wall. They needed to get off the field. They needed to make a play, and all that happened in the second half.
Yeah. We had to say that, I had something I've always been. I just said just put the ball down, and we break every morning, every day, every time we break a hole, we just say put it down. And, because defensively, it's really out of our control most times when we're able to get on the field. So, if we got an offense that's ball control, they got the ball 12 minutes a quarter, we just sitting on the sideline drinking out the Kool-Aid. So, when we get an opportunity to go on the field, regardless of the situation, just like Coach Mack, like he say, our thing is in spite of, we control what we can control, and that's what we can control. An opportunity to go on the field and play regardless of where you put the ball down there, we have to have the mentality that we get an opportunity to go play. And let's go play regardless of what the ball is. Let's just go out here and do what we think we're capable of doing and be excited about doing it. So, we don't get caught up into, they had a big kickoff return. Just somebody tackle them, please. Somebody just tackle. Give me a chance. Just give me a chance. And, LeSean Ely just sold out, man. And, Corey made him cut back. Jalen Thomas was fighting 3 or 4 guys to try to keep him balling, and LeSean Ely just ran him down to give us a chance. And the guy just, coach was ready. Let's take the field. So it's like I say earlier, man. They starting to buy in, man. They starting to get it. And I'm excited about it. I'm excited about the rest of the year to see how much better we can get.
I always talk about first year, whether it's first year coordinators, first year coaches. The one word that you hear is buying in. I do Vicksburg High, first year coach there, Tim Hughes, and the whole thing, Coach Thornton, about buying in, whether it's a new head coach or coordinators. That's always kind of an interesting dynamic because some do, some don't.
And most of them want to. Most of them want to. It's a lot. Like we talked earlier about distractions, and everybody wants to because everybody likes something new. Everybody likes something new, but everybody's gonna contest it and just see where it stands. And if you don't have a lot of other distractions pulling away from what's going on, those that really want to buy in, that's kind of hesitant, it's because they're hearing stuff from outside the circle. And if we can just get them to block that, and just only focus on what we're doing, what we're talking about, you don't have those problems. But for the most part, they're young people. They want to be led. They want discipline. They want to hear it, from the coaches. They want to hear it from the parents. So, when it looks like they're fighting it, it's because they're hearing stuff from outside of the circle.
Yeah.
So we just got to fight that as well. And so I almost got it. Almost got it.
And the defense had to fight for sure. A low-scoring ball game, 17-3 in the third quarter. We'll look at the fourth quarter coming up. But right now, let's go back to the phone lines. We have Marquise back on the line. He didn't give up on us. He called back in. Good evening, Marquise. Doing pretty good.
How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing good, Marquise. How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. Yeah, I'm glad y'all had beat Southern.
And it definitely was a struggle there. I mean, Southern had won 10 in a row going into the game Saturday. The last loss was back 2015 in the muck and the mire. And so it was a big win, definitely, Marquise.
But y'all is number one in this right now.
Well, it's still a lot of football left. I mean, Jackson State with a loss, Bama State, A&M, and of course Valley. So right now the Braves are undefeated in the division play, and got another big one coming up on Saturday.
Yeah, I noticed this homecoming y'all playing is Alabama State, so they ain't nobody safe. So
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, Marquise, we appreciate your call.
All right, Coach.
All right, Marquise.
Marquise always wants to know what's going on. We'll take a break here when we come back as we have the bottom of the hour. Got a lot to get to, a lot of text and tweets. We appreciate the calls coming in, and some more I'm sure we'll be dialing in. Give us a call, 601-877-6595. Halfway through the Fred McNair Radio Show. We'll be right back after this.
It's homecoming 2018 for your Alcorn State University Braves, and the Braves will welcome the Hornets of Alabama State to Sweets Castle Stadium here on the campus of Alcorn State University. Game time 2, pre-game 1:30. Join your play-by-play announcer Charles, the voice of the Braves Evans, and your award-winning radio announcer Jay Miles. St. Timmons sideline reporting. It's Alcorn football on WPRL 91.7 FM and WPRL.org. It's homecoming 2018.
But did you know when you donate stuff to Goodwill, you help provide job training for people right here in your community? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
At WPRL 91.7 FM.
All right, let's pause 10 seconds for station identification as we have the bottom of the hour. Let's pause for 10 seconds on the Alcorn Football Radio Network.
You are tuned in to WPRL 91.7 FM, broadcasting from the campus of Alcorn State University.
All right, homecoming 2018 as Alabama State comes to town. They roll in here for a 2 o'clock kickoff, and we'll have the pregame show at 1:30. All right, coaches, we look at the fourth quarter, and of course the defense had to keep making plays because the game was close. The game was in the balance, and the defense had to make a play. Coach Thorne, you take it away here. It's Cole with the 36-yard pick six to put the Braves up 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, we like I say, we had a situation where we really need to keep Lampley bottled, and we ran the coverage in that situation. Cole played the coverage perfectly. The defensive line did a great job of getting pressure on Lampley because he was actually hit as he was throwing the football. So, he was trying to escape and scramble. He looked and saw pressure, tried to get the ball out of his hand. Cole was, in the right place, doing his job, made the play, and finished. It scared me to death. I told him in the meeting today, the whole time he's running with the ball, I was thinking of the Prairie View game here at home last year with Trey Farrell. You know what I'm saying? Just cross the end zone with the ball, just cross the line with the ball. So he scared me to death, but, he was in the right place and made a play.
And that put the Braves up 17-3. And at that time, Coach McNair, it looked like the life had been sucked out of the homecoming crowd, and you added another field goal late. And I thought we did a good job of clock management in the fourth quarter, just taking time off the clock, taking our time, and getting to the line and just letting time elapse. And we got a field goal towards the end with 8:17 left, really to put it away and winning 20-3.
Yeah, that's something I just got with Coach Stanchek, and they did a great job of doing that. And it was actually started out there touchdown return, the interception return for a touchdown. We started making the clock a little bit, just kind of eating up the clock. And I thought we did a great job of with the clock and getting it down to. I think we had about like 8 minutes in that time frame. there, Charles, and just seize an opportunity, man. Just trying to finish the ball game, and that's what we always try to do. Just try to finish.
Well, that might have been the drive of the year so far because that was a 13-play drive, only 54 yards, but it took up 7:15. I think the key stat there was the 7:15, 7 minutes and 15 seconds. That took a lot of time off the clock, and it took a lot of wind out of their sails.
It did. As long as you keep them off the field, Charles, we're great, man. And the defense got time to rest, and that's what we try to do. We always talk about the 4-minute offense, just trying to keep the ball away from the other offense. So that's what we did, and I think we did a great job of that. And defense was fresh when they had to go back home.
Well, the Braves win it 20-3, 381 yards of total offense, holding a high-powered Jaguar team that has scored 62 points in their last 2 games to just a field goal and 139 yards. Coach Thorne, you talked about Lampley, but their leading running back was Ben going into the game on Saturday. You held him in check with 60 yards rushing. What at 5'8"? I mean, he's a little scat back. You can lose him. What was the challenge in trying to at least keep him under control?
We really had to stay gap sound. Like I said, they were huge up front, man. And being a shorter guy, physical, compact guy, he literally hides behind those guys. I mean, they had monsters up front. That guys walked up to me after the game and almost scared me. But they were huge, man, and he does a great job in their scheme. Just getting behind those guys and letting those big fellas work. And they stay square. They do a great job of staying square. So they literally build a wall in front of them. So he hides behind that wall and he find the crease. He was able to pop. So that's been how he's been successful for them. And we just had to do a great job, man, just staying gap sound and playing vertical, playing up the field to try to cut off those running winners.
Braves win 20-3. Let's go to the phone lines. We'll get to the numbers in a moment. Emmanuel Barnes, my partner, calling in on this Monday night. Good evening, Emmanuel.
Hey, Josh. Hey, just a quick question for Coach. We were, during the course of the game, we were given the impression that they had lost communications with us there, and they were working from the sideline, and I was wondering if that was true, because if it was, then they did a tremendous job of having to do that from field level. So that's what I was curious about.
In spite of, Charles, Dean Barnes, in spite of, we did have communication problems, very terrible communication, and we had to improvise, and that's what we did the whole game, Charles. It was bad communication with a headset, so we had to pick up from there and try to do it in stride, man. Like a lot of people say, you got to have eyes upstairs, and unfortunately, we were able to manage it.
Oh, well, congratulations on that.
Thanks, Dean Barnes.
All right, Dean Barnes, appreciate it. That was tough. I mean, how tough is that for both you guys? I mean, with limited, if no communication, trying to get plays in, and despite all that's going on, like you said, in spite of, but how tough was that?
It's always tough, Charles, because you need to make some kind of adjustments, and need to know what kind of fronts, need to know what personnel they sending in, and everything. So we very seldom get a chance to see that. One time, and we're trying to hide it, and but I think Coach Thornton more than that was needing the personnel that they were sending in back and forth on the defensive front side. But from an offensive standpoint, we still have to know whether the safety's rolling, or the linebackers going, and the defensive line, what technique, and all that kind of stuff. So we got a chance to see it from field level, but we manage it, like I said, tell the kids in spite of, Charles.
So which is tougher to deal with when you have communication issues? Is it tougher on the offense, tougher on the defense, or it's just equally as tough?
I think it's tough both ways, Charles. It's very tough, I think more from a defensive standpoint, I believe, because they really have to know what kind of personnel that they're sending in on offense on the other side. So it's more from a defense standpoint, but as well as offense too, Charles. So it's kind of equal balance there. You got to have eyes upstairs.
Coach Thorne, how tough was that with lack of communication?
It was tough. It was tough. I'm a big personnel match guy. I like to know what personnel offenses are in, so I can try to have the same bodies on the field that they have, and it kind of gives us a better chance to fit and defend things. And when I can't hear from my coaches what personnel they're bringing on the field, it kind of makes it tough for me. So I have to be safe. With calls. And then Southern. So in that situation, I'm trying to stand to where I can see Southern sideline to see what they'll bring on the field. In pregame, I try to pick out certain numbers that help me understand, know, okay, this personnel, he come on, this is what they're in. But Southern Jersey, they got these numbers that you can't really see.
Yeah, exactly.
I need to work on my glasses. I need to give me some glasses.
No, you don't,
play them
Coach.
next time.
Coach, no, you don't. No, you don't.
It's hard. It was tough for me to
Yeah.
see numbers, so their twos look like sevens and so forth and so on. So
Yeah.
it's tough. It's tough, but like Coach say, in spite of, Southern didn't care that we had communication issues. Alabama State not gonna care. We got communication issues. We got to figure out a way as a staff to, and until we can get the communication issue fixed, to get guys in position to make plays and win ball games. That's all. That's what Brave Nation want. That's what they deserve. So we just gonna keep plugging at it.
All right, let's go to the phone lines. Cedric Foster calling in from Tallahassee. Good evening, Cedric.
Hey, good afternoon. I tell you, I really feel good. And we drove over from Tallahassee, got up that Saturday morning and got our room in Slidell because I knew we couldn't get a room because of homecoming and LSU and Ole Miss. So, but we stayed there, and my wife told me, my wife wanted me to say, "Oh, the flags look bad." I said, "You better not touch them flags." Because every time we put them flags on, 90% of the time we win. But I tell you, and our wife couldn't take the rain, so we stayed for halftime. And Charles, I'm gonna tell you this: I will never do this again. I listened to the rest of the game on that 107.5. I listened to them on their network, and I'm telling you, it was just dismal. I mean, it was. I thought they had started throwing a party on that radio broadcast. I mean, it was really sad. I mean, it was really sad, and I wish I would have brought my adapter so I could have been able to listen to your play-by-play on my phone. But I tell you, I really feel good. Got a question I want to ask though, because I was just listening to the game. They didn't talk about how many yards DJ got, because even though I live in Tallahassee, I have a strong ties with Godney High School over there with Corey Fuller. So, because I got a couple of young men that I mentor over there that play for Godney, and PJ just makes me so proud. His uncle is one of my lodge brothers too over here in Tallahassee. So I just feel good about that, and I feel good. I really feel good. And you know, coaches, sometimes you in a game, you just gotta grind it out, and that's one of them grinding out games. Keep it on the ground. It was so wet, and you had to, the offensive line just had to just buckle up and play, and the defense stood up, and they stopped them. And that's basically all I have to say, but I feel good. I really feel good. And keep up the good work. Go Braves.
Are you coming to homecoming, Cedric?
I'm not going to make homecoming. Charles, I don't know if I told you this. I work locally, part-time at a radio station here in Tallahassee, 96.1 Dan. I do the weekend for them, and they don't have anybody to run the FAMU game, and I got to stay back and run that game, So, but I'm going to try to do the Alabama A&M with my wife and I. We're going to try to get up there and make that game.
All right, Cedric, we really appreciate your call, and we appreciate your support.
All right. Okay, go Braves!
All right. Cedric Foster joining us from Tallahassee. Well, Coach Thornton, let's look at the defensive numbers here. We talked about the numbers overall. Leading the way, Winnington with 5 tackles. Solomon Muhammad, Coach Thornton, made his presence felt early. He finished with 5 tackles. Sterling Shippey with 4, and Morrison with 4. We got a text. Someone wanted to know if you had to describe the defense in one word, what would it be?
Resilient.
resilient.
One word.
And resilient because
In spite of. In spite of. You know, we gonna go out and do the very best we can with what we have to get jobs done. So, you know, they're resilient.
Well, Coach McNair, what was the speech to your team? I mean, that was a huge win. I mean, spoiling Southern's homecoming again. They had won 10 straight at home. They had won 2 in a row, scored a bunch of points. They felt pretty good. And we kind of sucked the life out of them. What was your speech to the team after the game?
I was very short and brief, Charles. And that's something sometimes when I go in from a game, I'm not. But that night after the game, I was very short and brief. And my exact words to those guys, I told them we still got a lot of work to do. I told them about a great win, and that was it.
Yeah, that was a pretty short and sweet bus ride home, I'm sure. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll get to all the texts and tweets. We got a bunch, and we'll look ahead to Alabama State University, a team coming off a bye week. Their last game 2 weeks ago against Kennesaw State. They lost a bunch of players, a bunch of starters in that one. So we'll talk about the Hornets when we come back after this 1-minute timeout here on the Fred McNair Radio Show.
The Old Country Store, located Highway 61 in Lorman, Mississippi, where you'll find the best soul food around. They're open daily, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. People come from all over to try Mr. D's famous fried chicken, good, and to hear him sing the Grandmama song. Go by and see Mr. D and his group. You'll be glad you did. You can call them at 601-4373-661. That's 601-4373-661. The Old Country Store. They are proud supporters of WPRL 91.7 FM and Old Corn Football. Go Braves, go. The Old Country Store. Good.
Did you know when you donate stuff to Goodwill, you help provide job training for people right here in your community? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
At WPRL 91.7 FM.
Homecoming 2018. That's the one and only Emmanuel Barnes who just called in. All right, we've got Kermit on the line. Boy, busy show here tonight. Still a lot to get to. Kermit calling from Dallas. Good evening, Kermit.
Hey, good evening, Charles. How you doing?
Doing pretty good.
All right, Coach McNair, Coach Stone, I want to congratulate you. And, Coach, I was really hesitant about calling and asking you this question, but I'm going to do it. So, you know, when Coach started talking about he's old school, well, Coach Starr, I'm really old school. So, up at Alcorn when we had Marvin Weeks, then followed by Clarence Tolliver, then followed by William Woolley, then followed by Coach McNair, then followed by Coach McNair's brother, and so on down the line. And my question is, every one of those quarterbacks that I mentioned, during that era, we had a vertical passing game. And I know a lot of quarterbacks now, but if you look at Clemson, look at Alabama, even they're now pulling back that dual quarterback, and they're going back to that vertical game again. And I have to give you credit because in spite of us appear to not have a vertical game, you're still winning football games, which means we're pretty physical up front, in my opinion. So, Coach, what do we do when we get those people who start stacking 8 in the box on us, and we need that vertical game?
I think that we still can throw it down the field. It's sometimes it's just the coverage that they give us to kind of limit us. A lot of times our routes adjustments depends on the coverage. We do have the vertical passing game, but it just depends on what they give us up front. If they stack all those guys in the box, I mean, I think Texas Southern, they did when they came here, and so we were able to throw the ball downfield against them guys. Just depends on what they give us. You know, we the type of offense that we watch film and we study film and kind of see what the guys are trying to do to us and personnel wise and of course, yeah, we do have a vertical game. We got some receivers that can go get it too, so we're gonna kind of manage it that way, and that's what we've been doing the whole year. And we're gonna kind of be more consistent in what we do as far as offense.
Well, you're the man for the job, man. I really appreciate everything you're doing for the university. And you as well, Coach Thornton. So keep up the good work, guys.
Appreciate you, Kermit.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Kermit, thank you for calling in. Kermit calling from Dallas. Let's go to the text line. Of course, you can text us anytime at 601-348-7254, 601-348-7254. BJ from Jackson, Louisiana, talks about the offensive line and having a tough time protecting Noah Johnson. Talk about the offensive line, and then the penalties. You know, we had 27 penalties going into the game on Saturday. I think we had 7 or 8. So just talk about the penalties and trying to cut down on those, obviously.
Well, that's always a thing we're trying to do. We talk about that every week during the course of practice time, and then it's something we have to do with the personal fouls and stuff of that issue that we can't control. But those are things that we really talk about during practice time. Offensive line wise, I think that we're playing okay. I think we're gonna get better. That's the thing we talked about, and I think Coach Stanchek was saying first more than anybody that we got to get better up front. So I think that we're in a good situation right now. We have depth in our offensive line to where we can get better with those guys in places.
Clarence Cozy sends a comment. I thought the officials gave us a fair shake this time. Was it that the game was televised? I don't think. Does that really make much of a difference?
I don't think so. I think that what we did, we kind of got to the guys, and they kind of understand that we're not that good enough yet to overcome some of those penalties that we get. I think that kind of hitting home right now. So hopefully they're getting to understand that those penalties will hurt us in big games.
And Roger Guy send an email. You can, of course, send me an email, cedmond@allcorn.edu. Congratulations on the win. We appreciate the support, staff and players, for all your hard work. He also talks about the penalties and, of course, talking about the officiating as well. And so when you look at the health, and everyone is asking about Trey Farrell, and we've kind of talked about that. What is his status? And Radarius Anderson from this past Saturday. What's their status for this Saturday?
Hopefully Ray will be back with us this week, and he just got a little sprain. I think he got to work out with Jaleesa this afternoon, and as far as what he got going on, trying to fix that and make sure he don't have any more problem with it. But I think he should be back this week, and Trey, he should be back this week as well. Just dealing with some issues in the situation and things like that, but he should be back this week as well.
TJ Mayfield tweets, this, with the big win and homecoming coming up, how do you keep your team motivated after the big win? Because after a big win like that, sometimes you get high and full of whatever, full of yourself. I'm not saying that happens, but it can happen because it's a big win. Southern was hot and all that. So just keeping the team grounded with a big challenge coming up, and it's homecoming.
Well, the biggest thing, Charles, after this morning practice, I kind of gave him that speech this morning, about distractions and the sacrifices and all the temptations that's going to be out there this week, and all those things that we need to talk about. And one of the things that I did tell him was, just don't let people tell you how good you are this week, because you got a big game to play Saturday. At the same time, these guys are very humble, Charles, and they know. And like I told them, I said, when you get good, I will be the first one to tell you that you're good. But right now, we're not there yet. So don't let people tell you that you're good, and fill your head up and make it swell. So I think these guys are going to be down there, Charles, and they're going to be up for the battle on Saturday.
Well, Coach Thornton, it was a terrific job by your defense. What speech, or is there any speech that you can give to kind of keep your defense grounded and ready each and every week?
Yeah, the eye in the sky. The eye in the sky don't lie. We show them the film, and like I say, it's nothing like a win, and it's always great to be able to make corrections after a win. But the film is really all I really need to do a speech for me. I just turn the film on, show them, the goods and the bads, and they see how much they leave on the field. So we've been coming out of film sessions after the game, and they be like, man, I just gotta do it. So everybody understand it. Every week is another opportunity. Every week is a different challenge, and You know, we playing a good football team coming here Saturday. Really good football team. So show them the film, your mistakes. Now let you see your opponent and let you see what your opponent is capable of doing. So it's not hard to do. Like I said, these young men, they starting to believe. They starting to believe, and they starting to see what we're trying to get them to do. And Coach Mack got the coaches grinding and working at it, and these guys believe in what we're saying. So it's coming around. So it's not hard. It's not much of a speech I have to give.
Coach McNair, Barry Jones tweets, so he's talking about the injuries. Juan Anthony, what's the status there?
Yeah, Juan, he practiced this morning, Charles, and I think he got cleared to go. He was at practice this morning, fully ready and running routes and very active. So Juan Anthony, he'll go this week.
All right, so now we make the turn and we look forward to Alabama State rolling into Jack Spinks Marino Castle Stadium. It's a big week because it is. We'll take a break right here, Manuel Barnes, and it's homecoming. We'll be right back. We'll talk about Coach Donald Hill Ely in his first season as head coach. Was on the staff last year, was named interim coach last year, got the gig after they won 5 out of their last 6 games a year ago to end the season, and kind of a rebuild for their team. So we'll talk about the Hornets after this 1-minute timeout on the Fred McNair Radio Show.
Join WPRL 91.7 FM, WPRL.org for the 2018 Homecoming Parade right here on the campus of Alcorn State University. Hey, join your Shuli J. Miles and my sidekick Myrtle Brown Sugar Baby Hertig for all the play-by-play of the floats, the cars, the bands, and ROTC, plus much, much more. Hey, bring the entire family out for the 2018 Alcorn State University Homecoming Parade. Catch it all here on WPRL 91.7 FM at WPRL.org.
But did you know when you donate stuff to Goodwill, you help provide job training for people right here in your community? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
At WPRL 91.7 FM.
All right, welcome back. It is 56 minutes after. So, Coach, let's dig into the Hornets. They're 1-3 on the season. They've lost 3 in a row. They've had a tough schedule. I mean, they beat Tuskegee 26-20. They lost at Auburn. They lost at Kennesaw State, and they lost at Grambling. And they lost quite a few players to boot. 6 players, season-ending injuries. And Coach Eli was kind of complaining about the Kennesaw State game, the fact that he lost so many players in that game. Monetarily, it's a home-and-home to, don't make the money when you're playing those home-and-home type of deals. So his team's kind of banged up, but they're coming off a bye week. So what challenge do the Hornets bring in here on Saturday?
Well, I guess the biggest thing, Charles, is that when you have a bye week, and of course, just about everybody had a bye week before they play us, Charles. Valley had a bye week before they play us, and then
it's either bye week or homecoming.
It's a battle. So I think Coach Ely has done a great job with that program. Even coming in last year and at the helm and getting 5 games out of 6, that was big for him, Charles. And I think he's doing a great job of building that program back. We got a pretty nippy quarterback in Pearson. He does a great job. Got a receiver, Allen and Spencer and Hannah. Those guys run really good routes, kind of speedy guys, Charles. And running back, Ezra Gray, solid running back. He kind of hurt us last year with a big run last year too, Charles. But those guys are very good up front. We talked about the offense and offensive line play. Defensive wise, they tough. They got a couple transfers in. They're gonna be pretty solid. One of the guys, Devin Santana, he's a pretty solid kid. They got a big guy up front. He's about 6'4", about 320, maybe a little bit heavier, Charles. And Christian Clark. Those guys are going to be very active, Charles. So we got our work cut out for us. And preparation this week is very attention to details for us, Charles. We got to make sure that we're doing everything that getting these guys that they need to make preparation for this ball game.
Well, Coach, we got less than 2 minutes left. The old homecoming speech. Homecoming is for the fans and all that, but you got a football game to prepare for. So talk about trying to keep the focus there with a whole bunch of folks that will be on campus, especially after the big win, and trying to stay focused for a difficult opponent. Because they're heavy underdogs. There's no question about that, but they're going to come in here and throw everything at us.
Charles, you know, the biggest thing is, and I always say this, and I tell kids about homecoming and the history of it, and what it means to the fans and the alumni and everybody else, and we can enjoy that. You know, we have a ball game to prepare for, and all week is going to be attention to detail. It's a big job for the coaching staff to make sure our guys are doing what they're supposed to do, staying out of trouble, curfew, and those type of things. So there's a lot of distraction, and the biggest thing for us is trying to make sure that these guys stay focused on what the task going to be at hand.
Coach Thornton, what's your speech? I mean, with everything that's going on this week, the coronation, the parade, and all that stuff, but we got a game at 2 o'clock.
Like Coach Max say, you know, all that's for the fans. You know, hopefully, you know, everybody take care of business, and you know, around 6 o'clock, then the players and coaches can let our hair down for about 3-4 hours and enjoy some of it. But homecoming for the fans, for the alums. You tell the guys, man, once you get your degree, then homecoming for you. Right now, you know, you got a ball game to play, got a ball game to prepare for. You know, let's take care of business.
And Coach McNair, you said this after the game. You told us Cedric Tillman, homecoming's for the people coming back.
That is exactly right, Chuck. That is exactly right.
That'll do it for the Fred McNair Radio Show. Coach Thornton, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Coach Fred McNair, I'm Charles Edmond. It's the top of the hour. Next week, we'll recap Alabama State, and we'll look ahead to A&M. All of a sudden, you got to talk about the Bulldogs. And they have a first-year coach in Coach Maynard. They came from behind and beat Jackson State, so we'll be digging into A&M, and it's their homecoming when we go there next Saturday. I'm Charles Edmond for our producer, the one and only Jamario Brooks. It's 7 o'clock. We'll talk to you next week. So long, folks.